Hello dear viewers, welcome to Hassanzoy Academy. This is Najibullah Hassanzoy and today I want to explain the point and interval estimate of population proportion. Mean and proportion are the two commonly used estimates in statistical analysis. That is, we are often interested to know the central values such as mean and median and mode and ratios, shares, or proportions. A proportion is a part, share, or number considered relative to a whole. It can be expressed as a number between 0 and 1 or percentage between 0 and 100%. We have already explained point and interval estimate in a previous lesson on interval estimate of population mean. I assume that you have already watched that lesson. If not, please follow the link in the first comment below to learn the baseline information. We will use actual data on literacy of rice farmers for this exercise. The proportion of all rice farmers who are literate, that is population proportion, is not known. We will use sample proportion as estimate of the population proportion. Literacy is a nominal variable where the characteristic of interest, that is a rice farmer is literate, is coded as yes and no otherwise. Here in this data, yes means the farmer is literate and no means the farmer is not literate. This exercise will be done in Microsoft Excel, which is widely accessible to everyone. The response variable of interest is yes, which we denoted by X, and it shows that a farmer is literate. To find out the total number of observations that we have, we use the count A function of Excel. Type equal to and then type the count A function and give the reference of your data. Our data are in column A from first row to 715th row. So I type A, row 2 to row 715 and then press enter. So in total we have 714 observations. Second, we want to know the number of observations who possess the characteristic of interest or the response of interest, which is yes. Or in other words, we want to find out how many farmers are literate among the 714 farmers. So we type equal to and use the count F function of Excel. Again, we select the range of our data, which is in column A, from row 2 to row 715, and then give the criteria what to count. So we ask Excel to count the responses which are coded as yes, and then press enter. So now we have found out that among 714 farmers, 434 farmers are literate. Third, we identify the confidence coefficient and also the value of standard normal variate or Z at alpha divided by 2. In this example, we will assume alpha to be 0.05 or 5%. Hence, the confidence coefficient will become 0.95 or 95%. So 1 minus 0.05, which is the error, it becomes 0.95 or 95%. Also, we can find the value of the standard normal variate or Z using the function norms inverse, and we gave the value of the confidence coefficient as 1 minus 0.05, which is the value of alpha, divided by 2. Press enter. This is the value of Z, which encompasses 95% of all observations in a normal distribution. Fourth, we estimate sample proportion as the ratio of the number of literate rice farmers to the total number of farmers. That is very easy, just type equal to the number of rice farmers who are literate, that is in numerator, and the total number of rice farmer will be in the denominator, and then press enter. So this is the 0.61 is the proportion of rice farmers who are literate. If we multiply this proportion by 100, we will convert it to percentage, which is easy to explain. So this shows that 61% of all rice farmers are literate in this given area. Fifth, we estimate the standard error of the sampling distribution of sample proportions, which is equal to the square root of the point estimate of the sample proportion multiplied by 1 minus the point estimate of sample proportion divided by the total number of observations, and then close parentheses, press enter. So 0.02 is the standard error of the sampling distribution of sample proportion. Sixth, we estimate margin of error as product of the confidence coefficient or the value of z at alpha divided by 2 and standard error. So we type equal to the value of standard normal variate multiplied by the standard error. This value is now the margin of error. Finally, we will estimate the upper and lower limits of the confidence interval using the general structure of a confidence interval, which is the point estimate plus minus margin of error. Lower limit of the confidence interval is equal to point estimate minus margin of error. Upper limit of the confidence interval is equal to the point estimate plus margin of error. If we multiply these figures also by 100, we will convert both of them to percentage terms. So in conclusion, the proportion of all literate rice farmers in the given area may be between 0.57 or 57% and 0.64 or 64%. In other words, 95% of all estimates of the population proportion of literate rice farmers in the given area will fall between 57 and 64%. So in this example, our point estimate is 61%, which is within these two limits, which is between 57 and 64%. If our point estimate is outside this range, then we may be wrong in our calculation. I hope you have understood the estimation and interpretation of confidence interval or interval estimate of the population proportion. If you need the dataset for practice, I will provide it upon request. I would appreciate your contribution in further circulation of the contents published on Hassan Zoy Academy. To grow our community, please also subscribe to Hassan Zoy Academy. Until our next lecture, bye and Allah Hafiz.